And welcome back, everybody. It is Sunday night here in Zoom Racing League. Division 1 action upcoming here in the Lozel International Circuit in Qatar. It's a random track night tonight, round 7. A lot of action about to go underway. 16 corners here in a very fast-paced track in Qatar. Only a single DRS zone down the main straight. That is probably the most prominent overtaking spot going into turn 1. It's going to be an exciting race. We've had a wild season ending here last season. Great racing all around. A lot of action, a lot of incidents that happened as well. A couple drivers are out on track already just doing their warm-up laps. It is expected to be fully dry as much as for the qualifying as for the race as well. I'm your host, John Ranger. It's a solo broadcast for me. My co-partner, Spanini, couldn't make it tonight. He'll be there next week. I will be walking you through this race tonight here in qualifying. We've got Brendan Bechtel, if I haven't noticed, already has retired. He will be, he's currently serving a qualification ban due to having 4 penalty points accumulated throughout the season. So it's round 7 here, getting 4 penalty points. Things could happen, so that's part of this league racing. Sometimes you gotta handle with qualifying bans. There hasn't been that many qualifying bans. I remember seeing seasons past more drivers having those kind of bans, so I think there's a lot more respect on track so far on track. But Bechtel's partner here, Kaigo, is maybe a little bit closer to getting a race ban, so he's got to be a lot more careful on track during race situations. Kaigo, the first driver in the Aston Martin, around turns 3 he goes. Next to be, the first driver actually to pull in a fast lap here in Qatar, so let's keep an eye on him right now as he's going around. Beautiful view. Like I was saying, it's a fast-paced track. Not a lot of high braking points, but you really got to manage your brakes. A lot of trail braking around these corners just to get the proper speed, carry as much speed as you can around these corners. Once you get in that rhythm here in Qatar, it's such a fantastic track to be driving in. But not that many overtaking opportunities. Got to be careful for that accordion effect, as we call it, as you saw last week in Monaco. For example, in the hairpin, one driver slows down and everybody behind's got to slow down. Well, this kind of situation could happen here in Qatar, so you got to be aware of that kind of thing happening. The sector flag, I believe, drivers. Oh, a lot of traffic. Oh my goodness. Wow. The Patota skin, Kaigo, had to manage through all of these drivers left and right just before the last corner turns, the little bit of a straight between turns 14 and 15. Completely deployed his battery, and here he is at a 122.4. That will be the initial time set. There's a couple drivers out on their quick times, on their outlaps right now, as we're seeing. Oh, a little bit of a laggy moment there with Kai. Let's switch to another driver. I think Quentin K, the race winner from last week. He's about to get across the line. And that is a 120.3, so 2 seconds quicker than Kai. Obviously, he was slowed down there with the traffic there. He really had to take evasive action. Duncan McCamick with a 121.4, Jack Fletcher with a 121.8 as well. And we're about to have a couple other drivers. Marc-Olivier Bastien is in as well, 120.6. Driver who's came in second place, if I remember correctly, from last weekend. Great drive from him. And we're going to see Freddie Era and Cam Bourne across the line in just a moment. Freddie Rozelle, that's a strong time there in the Alpine at a 120.8. Great time from him. Eric Valla at a 120.3. That is exactly 8. Am I doing my math right? Oh, I'm not doing my math right. That is 12 thousandths of a second off of Quentin K there in P2. Nick Pichet just came in P4, 120.6. Kyle Blevins at a 120.9. Simon Carlson replacing for Josh Mulder P7 in the Haas 121.1, Max Bowler 121.1 as well, Cam Bourne 121.2. So we're seeing a little bit of a gap being created here between the front runners and the midfield. You know, the 120s is where it's at. The 121s, you're gonna end up in the midfields, and obviously drivers that are slower than the 121 part are gonna want to improve their times. As of now, a couple drivers have not gone out on the track. I think everybody's done a fast lap right now. Yeah, everybody else is waiting a little bit in the pits, maybe to save themselves a soft tire set for this track. We'll see what kind of strategy we see later in the race. I'll take a moment real quick as we're doing so. Yeah, a lot of drivers going into the pits as we're seeing. Let's take a quick look at the standings. Well, it's no surprise still. There's a reason why in the constructors Mercedes are number one, and by a long shot. It's a very busy pit lane currently. Ryan Newton still holds the lead to this championship with 3 races to go. Well, actually 4 races if I include Qatar as well. This is round 7 of 10. He is only 24 points ahead of his teammate. So it was really interesting to see last week. Team orders are being called out between Ryan Newton and Marc-Olivier Bastien, where Marc-Olivier went ahead of Newton in order to claim P2 in that race. Eric Vallo is still challenging for the top spot here in the championship. Got a good result on his end. It's 131 points for him, so that is our top 3. Otherwise, it's Cam Bourne. Cam Bourne, we're used to seeing him up in the standings, and last week in Monaco, absolutely gorgeous race on his part, and he's there in P4, followed by Nick Pichet, Hudson Poole, who's shocking. It's a bit of a shock seeing him in P6. It's not the season we'd expect from him, but you know, has been struggling on track a little bit, and he's a little bit far behind in points. It's also his first year as team principal, so is he just more focused on attending the team in Red Bull than his own race? That could be why. But currently sitting in P6, tied with Marcel Paps, the other team principal. We had him in an interview last week in Monaco for Ferrari. Quinton K, only 3 races, yet he's got 2 wins. I mean, he's sitting down there in P8, but if you look at that statistics, 2 wins in 3 races. If he had raced all year, or all season, I'll say, he might have been challenging, you know, the Mercedes up there, and Haas wouldn't have a much larger portion of points onto their team, especially for Division 1. Cal Blev is doing an excellent job. The second driver here in Red Bull, being in the top 10, battling a lot with the midfield, a lot with Freddie Rizal and the likes of them. Anon Trivedi in P10. That's your top 10 there. Alon Trivedi, who's doing a great work also in Alfa Romeo. Him and Pichet are doing great work for that team. Followed by Bechtel, Magnussen Cube, Josh Mulder, Wild Poros, Max Bowyer, Freddie Rizal, who's just joined the league or the season 1 maybe 2-3 races ago, so obviously doesn't have a lot of points, and is struggling maybe to complete races sometimes. So that's one of the main reasons. A very quick driver, but he's got to keep it on track to be able to bring in those points home. Potato Skin, or can I go as you'll see him on my screen. Nick Hamrick, Jack Fletcher, Nathan Doan, Duncan McCamick. I'll say the bottom 5 drivers, position 16 to 20. Disappointment, a bit of disappointment for those drivers. It's a huge gap between Eric Cavallo and Nick Hamrick. Obviously, you know, the draft makes it so. It happens. But you know, those are things that are to be dealt with, and drivers who you know have potential on track, but either because they don't finish or just the race pace isn't really there, don't bring in a lot of points. But you know, you can't fault Jack Fletcher for only missing a single race, and after that, you know, he's giving it all he's got to bring in points as much as possible. Given the circumstances, as you can see, a lot of other drivers in their lower standings is because they either have not started a race or they just didn't finish it. So those are the results in regards to the driver championship right now. And then the constructors, well, the battle is really between Alfa Romeo and Red Bull currently. Mercedes statistically are running away with it. They're not, officially winning it. But, it's pretty much out there. I don't think there's much of a battle there. Williams could still bring the battle all the way up to P2. It is very much possible. Camborne wanted to bring the fight all the way up, I believe, to Alfa Romeo as well. And in the McLarens, they have a possibility of doing that. The Haas as well. Only 10 points separating P5 and P6 between McLaren and Haas. After that, it is disappointment for Ferrari and AlphaTauri and Aston Martin. Been struggling over the past couple seasons. That's what we're used to seeing a little bit. Maybe an improvement for Alpha Tauri when we have a moment. I should be able to have. I'm not sure if he'll be there, but maybe we'll have Magnus Cube, new team principal of Alpha Tauri. I had a couple questions for him in that regards, and if he's happy with the haul of points his team has got so far. And Alpine, a bit of a disastrous season so far in Division 1, 64 points. They're just not in it as of now. Speaking of being in it, well, it's a new pole setter. Eric Cavallo had a 120.1, has succeeded in gaining the #1 position here in this short qualifying session. A couple drivers are out there pulling in faster laps, as you've probably seen as I was walking you through the standings. Quinton K has not improved this time. I think he went out. I don't know if he's been waiting or if he went out and did not complete a lap, but he is at a 120.3. Marco Basset obviously 120.5, so he got about 2 tenths separating P1 to P2 and then P2 to P3. And then it's Hudson Polnick, Piché, Kyle Evans. Max Bollier, great positioning for him, being P7 currently. I think the result dropped down the grid a little bit, so has not been able to improve on himself. And he's also, I think he was on a fast lap, or he was working on a fast lap and went out of the track limit. So that is done for him for this lap. Camborne, Duncan, Mechanic. So positions 11 to 19 are either drivers who are in the 121 marks or just haven't set a lap yet. As I was about to check in on Ryan Newton, there he goes across the line. That's a P3. That's our championship leader so far, putting himself in P3 with a 124.44. Great results so far all around this season. Ryan Newton, a driver who's absolutely improved throughout the season, was honestly just started battling in the different divisions throughout ZRL, came into Division 1, had incredible pace, but just couldn't seem to bring it home. It was clear that one day this young driver was about to get his first win. He got it last season, and ever since, now he's with Mercedes, he's with Marco Basset, who's a great teammate, and he's just absolutely flying, and is going for the championship lead so far. And that's, it's a feel-good story for this underdog here, who was drafted 10th in the draft, and a lot of teams are absolutely livid about that kind of situation, because they wish they could have drafted him earlier. I'm sure Alpine is regretting, maybe, or rethinking their decisions in that regards. Outlap for Jack Fletcher. He wants to clear a track in front of him. Let me just go check a little something real quick. All right, we're good. And here we go. He's on an outlap. Hold on, am I seeing this correctly? Oh yeah, look at this. Jack Fletcher on an outlap. He's completely forgotten to deactivate his battery power. He's completely drained his battery to a third. Unless he's going for 2 outlaps, he's gonna have no choice, I would assume. But that's not really working for him, is it? Yeah, unfortunately for him. So keep an eye on that in just a moment's time. Otherwise, let's see who else is currently working on a fast lap. I'm just gonna do a little. There you go. All right, here we go. So, yeah, it looks like it's another. It is an attempt for Jack Fletcher so far. Everybody else is on an outlap, so here we go. Final moments of this short qualifying. Apologies. Went back on the intro. Final moments of the qualifying. Jack Fletcher is back in on this track. Marco Basset just started his fast lap. We'll keep an eye on the Ferrari driver as he goes along. Everybody's on soft tires. Everybody can clearly see that. This next section of corners here is usually very fast paced. You don't really lift at all. Let's see if you will here. Yeah, just a little bit of a lift going into this corner. Ooh, a little bit of a moment. Look at all the traffic. So he's becoming a bit of a victim of what Kai Guo had to handle earlier. However, behind him, they're going to try to take advantage of that. Is that an Anchovetti who's... oh, it looks like it's Nick Pichet who... oh, didn't get across in time. Oh, what a disaster. So disaster has struck. Jack Fletcher went across the line. He did not improve on his time. He will be starting P17 at best. Hudson Poole, Ryan Newton, and Nick Pichet have not been able to cross the line fast enough to be able to put in a fast time. So that is over for them in qualifying. Not the situation you want to find yourself here in Qatar. Quite disappointing. TNL, who is the replacement driver currently here in the Williams for Nick Hamrick, is going to slot himself in P12, a great racer in Division 2 that will be raced on Monday. He loses a position to Marcel Pabst, who is a great qualifying himself, and the Ferrari. That is a 120.3. Cal Blevins out-qualifies his teammate Hudson Poole, I believe, for the first time this season. So that is quite a spectacle here. Cal Blevins will be just ahead of his teammate. It doesn't seem like anybody's going to be able to cross the line quicker than Eric Cavallo so far. Freddie Rizal gets P7. Next to cross the line, we're going to get Maxime Beaulieu. That's P10. So not a lot of drivers improved on their times. And that is it for qualifying officially. Unless, no, that is done for Jack Fletcher. He's out of fuel, I believe. Slowly bringing his car back into the pits. That is it for qualifying, ladies and gents. Eric Cavallo takes pole position. It's a 120.1. Just about 400ths ahead of Marco Bastien, ahead of Quentin K. Marcel Pabst, a great qualifying for him, 120.3. And Ryan Newton keeps his P5 at a 120.444. That was his banker lap earlier so far in this qualifying, just about 15 minutes ago. So that's a great qualifying for him. I'm sure he would have loved to improve. He never got the chance to go back on a fast lap. So I wonder if he went on his fast lap despite the game not counting it, maybe to see where he would position himself. But so far, that is at least a top 5. He's going to have to battle his way up to the podium positions. The start of the race is coming in just a couple moments here. All right, let's go run down the order real quick. It's Carvalho, Bastet, K, Pabst, Newton, and it followed by Cal Blevins, Brazel, Hudson Poole, Nick Pichet, Maxime Beaulieu, Camborne, Duncan McCamick in P12, and Antrovet in P13. Tino, the replacement driver for Nick Hamrick in the Williams. He is currently in P14. Simon Costin also replacing Josh Mulder in P15. In the Haas, Nathan Doan, P16, Kygo, Jack Fletcher, and Brandon Bechtel with his qualifying ban bring up the rear. It's a bit of a difficult situation here for Aston Martin, where they will be starting 17 and 19, bringing up the rear of the grid. All right, well, I'm going to need some of my adult beverage to get through this race. It's a solo stream for me, so Definitely something I'm gonna need to keep my voice intact. It's already starting to crack. So let's crack open a cold one. There you go. That's a bottle instead. Apologies if I start slurring towards the end of this race. Or not. Or I might just get fired. Who knows? The real question here is the high degradation. Given it's a high downforce, high-paced track here in Qatar, let's find out what kind of strategy the drivers are going to go for. We're going to see the old classic hards to mediums or medium to hards, or are some drivers keeping some soft tires here to make them work maybe a little bit better, as some did in Monaco last week, where we got a bit surprised by the strategy calls that were made by some of the drivers. The start is beginning right now. The lights are out. Away we go. It's a very rapid start right away. Cavallo goes off very cleanly. Marco is not going to be able to follow him, but Quentin K's got a better start for him. He's going to go side by side to the McLaren on the outside. Will he be able to take P2? It looks like it's done, and it is. Quentin K gains a position. Fede Rizal and Kyle Blevins, be careful. That is certainly going to be an issue there. They've always clashed throughout the last couple of races, hopefully, and they've definitely had an incident here. And it's happened again, the same exact situation, and it is done for Fede Rizal. He's already retired. Oh, how predictable was this? And Hudson Poole, that is a double whammy for Red Bull. Hudson Poole gets a 5-second penalty for major collision on Nick Pichet because of this incident. So again, this is the exact same thing that happened last season, in the last race of the season. Fede Rizal cutting across the track onto Kyle Blevins' nose as if he didn't exist. And this time he's done major damage, well, to himself. He is out of the race. The Rizal strikes again. That was completely unpredictable. It's no safety car, however. You know what? I was so convinced it was a safety car. I started looking at my track notes real quick. No, we're still racing. Rather surprising here. I was going to keep an eye on that damage. I don't know if Kyle Blevins there has... It doesn't look like he's got wing damage. I know somebody hit him really hard. We're going to see who got him. I think it was Nathan Doan. Let's keep an eye on him. We got Hudson Poole already in the pits as well as Nathan Doan. So both of those drivers, I believe, are going to coming in for the change of tires, a change of front wing, definitely for Nathan Doan. Same thing for Hudson Poole. Yeah, so we saw a major collision. I think it was Nathan Doan that whacked Fede Rizal as he was sideways on the track, right on the wheel, exploded his tire. So that was that's what happened there. Quentin K is still in P2, chasing down Eric Cavallo, doing as much as he can with those medium tires, who normally should outperform the hard tires for the moment. So we'll see how Eric Cavallo fares in those circumstances. Marcel Paps in P3 also has successfully overtaken Marco Bastien. So we find the Mercedes of Bastien going backwards instead of forwards. And he's followed closely by his teammate, who's defending from Nick Pichet. Nick Pichet was a young and very talented driver, very aggressive driver too. And I'm seeing a lot of twitching here. A bit like last week, I think connection-wise it's a little bit twitchy. For some people out there. Camborne bringing up P7. DRS has just been activated, so everybody down, basically it's a whole DRS train all the way down to Kyle Blevins from what I'm seeing. If you're anybody a little bit late, Duncan McCamick obviously, and Nathan Doan and Hudson Poole who had to go in the pits, well, you're losing out on that DRS train, which is, well, it's not much of a DRS train because there's only one long DRS in the main straight. However, it is important to get that slipstream here in F123. The game has made it very, very important to stay within that 1 second gap for your drivers ahead. So everybody's following themselves closely, being very patient. That's the name of the game so far in Division 1. It's patience, taking care of your tires, making sure if you go for an overtake, you don't slow yourself down too much or take yourself out of the race as Freddy has just done. I'm sure that is going to be a couple comments here. I'm curious to see. I've been tagged. Freddy Rizal wants to broadcast with me. In case, unless you want to be roasted completely for the entire next of the 45 minutes, I'll keep you in general chat, Freddy. Because that was a bit of a shocker. Turn 3 there. Simon Carlson. Oh, that is a reserve driver already getting a 3-second time penalty, but taking advantage of the DRS and getting in front of TNL. So both drivers who usually battle each other on track in Division 2, well, they're fighting each other again here in Division 1. And now there's a bit of a split that happened here between P1 and, P7 and P8, right? Now Simon Carlson finds himself in front. And it's Duncan Mechanic behind, who's lost the car out of turn 2. Or turn 1, actually, going into turn 2. So here we see the difference in pace. Cam Bourne starting to slowly want to up its pace a little bit. There you see a bit aggressive on the battery. He wants to get back much closer to Nick Pichet. He's just on the cusp of not getting DRS towards the next lap, so he's going to want to be careful on that. Cam Bourne being on the hard tires. Now, I gotta say, Cam Bourne is one of those drivers who's always on the alternate strategy. He's probably the driver. I wouldn't be surprised if he started a race on softs, but him being on hards, like most other drivers, that's interesting to see. He will have DRS, but he's completely draining his battery to gain it. Oh, he does not. Oh, it doesn't look like he's got it. Yeah, no DRS for Cam Bourne. That's another position switch between... well, actually, it's not another position switch. This time it's Kai Guo, former Division 2 driver. So he's definitely driven against Simon Carlson in the pace of the T-Nels as well. And he is now P9, getting ahead of T-Nel, who's was trying to keep it up with Simon Carlson and instead lost a position there. And behind... seeing Magnussen, Cuban, and Antrovetti, two drivers who are able to have a tremendous pace. And, you know, so far, the drivers on the medium tires don't seem to be outpacing their rivals that much. Still 8/10 off of the race leaders so far from Quentin K towards Eric Cavallo. It's been, besides the main event and beginning of the race, has been a little bit uneventful so far. A couple overtakes has been taken. Let's take a look at our biggest winners and losers so far. In the beginning of the race, Simon Carlson, Kai Guo, Magnussen Cube gaining 7, 8, and 9 positions each. Brendan Bechtel, by the way, started dead last. Finds himself in P12. Well, we started P19, I guess, because Madison Cube just joined in just before the race started. So Brendan Bechtel P12 currently. And about to make an overtake here. He's on the inside of the Cube himself. Side to side they go. There's a little bit of a bump there. And Nanonchavetti's going to try to take advantage of that situation in the Alfa Romeo. Will he be able to make Magnussen Cube pay for that lack of pace? That is great racing from the midfield. Division 1 is a vicious midfield pack. They have to be perfect on the driving, otherwise it costs you multiple positions. As multiple other drivers have seen, Maxime Beaulieu, I don't know if he was caught up by the incident earlier in the race. He was towards that pack. Well, he's now battling Kyle Blevins for P14. Speaking of Kyle Blevins, he's got a 3-second time penalty just as I switch the camera to him. He is there. He's very aggressive towards Magnussen, Max Beaulieu. Jack Fletcher is the next driver to have time penalties. So time penalties here in a fast-paced track is gonna be a bit painful. Kablevins gets across, gets past Maxime Boulier, and it is not visually pretty. All the lagging, I don't know if that's just me or if it's others as well. But so far, there's a couple of drivers. Funny, it's always the Canadian ones where it's skibidi-boo all over the track so far. Let's see right up there so far. There's not much pressure being put on by the top three drivers. I think Marcel Pass is putting more pressure on Quinton K, who seems to have lost the DRS advantage from Era. Brendan Bechtel got past Tino, so now both Aston Martin drivers who started initially P17 and P19, they find themselves P9 and P10. Great race for them so far. Now the only issue is they're gonna have to, they cannot lap at they cannot pit at the same lap. Obviously they're gonna have to maybe one of them's gonna have to delay the pit strategy because they're way too close to each other to be thinking of stacking. Obviously, you know, that's gonna be something to keep an eye on soon. We're starting lap 8. I think those medium tires may be starting to feel a little bit worn down. Quinton K is all sorts of under fire by Marcel Pass, who's had the quicker pace in the straight line due to DRS. Marcel Pass just kept it nice and safe for now. Then go for the long dive bomb here. It's the kind of situation where if he starts attacking Quinton K and slows himself down, slows the Haas driver down, well, before you know, you'll have both Mercedes drivers up your gearbox, basically. You don't want that. And you also don't want a 3-second time penalty, because Hudson Poole just found that out the hard way. P19, and I think, oh boy. Is that a wheel issue? Is that a retirement? What is going on there? That is going to the pits. Yeah, this smells like retirement in the pits. Or he's gonna have to keep on going and pray for a safety car. Oh yeah, he's that is done. That is done for the Hudson Poole. He is retired from this race. He's said F it. Oh, is that another time penalty for Brendan Bechtel? No, that's just his first one. Alright, so that is another time penalty to another driver. So 3 seconds. There's a yellow sector 1 flag. That is just because Hudson Poole's AI is going back on track, just as traffic is coming out, but he should be ghosted. And that AI should be parking itself in the next corner too, I would assume. Yeah, there he goes. He's parked it. Oh, that was so close. Bechtel, who's got a lot of pace out there, he very nearly made a contact with his own teammate on Kaigo. I think he's letting him know he's got the better pace and you need to let me out in front. Maybe something that Kai's gonna... Well, Kai's probably losing out on the DRS right now in front of Cam, actually. So, finds himself leading that DRS train, that second portion of that DRS train. He is not going to have a choice to let Bechtel by. And Bechtel's got incredible pace so far this race. He's definitely a quick driver. Well, so far in the top 5, not a lot of action. There's a little bit of a split that's happened between Newton and Bastien. Or actually, I did not see them move over. Ryan Newton is on P4 and Bastien P5, so I think Bastien had a bit of a moment there. Or was it just from the DRS? But he's completely lost... he's lost significant time. I think Bastien had a moment, and that was not caught on camera. My apologies. Definitely lost out to his teammate. He's 2 seconds behind. That opens the door to his rival, Nick Pichet, rival in other racing leagues as well, to use the DRS power to make the overtake happen. Speaking of an overtake, an unconventional one, Simon Costin just got past Tino for P10. Bechtel in front of Kaigo as well in the DRS, as predicted earlier. We'll see if Bechtel could start running away with this one. Doesn't have a lot of battery to fight with. Camborne is... What's the timing so far? Yeah, he's fighting to keep Bechtel more than 1 second away from him. And it's a challenge for Camborne because he's got nobody to race in front of him. He doesn't seem to have the pace so far to make it work, to be catching up the top six. A little bit of a wiggle there from the McLaren driver. However, in the behind, Bechtel doesn't have DRS, so we'll see if he comes under attack by his teammate. Don't think that's going to be doable. Doesn't seem to be a lot of space. However, behind, Costantino, Cube, and Anand Trivedi, those are drivers who are really following each other closely. Throw in Caleb Levins as well. Despite the time penalties, these drivers are really following each other closely. A lot of action that could be done there. Nick Pichet seems to be catching up a lot to Marco Bastin for P5 as well, from what I'm seeing on my track map. But an absolutely beautiful view. Like I mentioned earlier, you know, this track is the kind of track that once you get in the rhythm, it's a track with a nice rhythm. I find it's awesome rhythm. It makes me think, just rhythm-wise, a little bit like, you know, Jeddah, a little bit like Zandvoort, where once you get in that zone, it just feels totally fine. You don't have to worry too much about the driver behind you, except for that DRS zone, because it's very difficult to make an overtake unless there's a great pace difference. You know, just make sure you don't make any mistakes. And that's what we're seeing so far this race. It's getting closer for this pack. It also got a lot closer for Quentin K versus Pabst and Newton. Is there a driver going towards the outside, maybe on Tino? No, that's not happened either. A great overview cam we have here. Bechtel's clearly pulled away from his teammate, from Kai. It's not a full second yet, but it's just about, and he's right up the gearbox of Camborne. So Bechtel's got the better pace. He's caught up to Camborne. Expect by next lap the overtake to happen, and if you're Camborne, this is the least. The scenario you probably like the least. Oh, and Bechtel gets the 3-second time penalty. Well, now that's a second one, isn't it? Yeah, that's 6 seconds, and we're not even halfway through a race here. 12 laps in, 6-second time penalty for Bechtel, who has the pace, but he's got to keep the car on track. But this is the kind of track where you got to take as much width as possible. A little bit like Austria there, with the most very aggressive curbs. You've got to take advantage of that width the track gives you. Let's go on board here with the Aston Martin driver. Oh, and Quentin K is in the pits. 11 laps on the mediums. He is in the pits. Let's see if other drivers will do the same. Caleb Levins also in the pits. And an overtake for the Aston Martin driver. Into turn one he goes. Well, let's see where Quentin K finds himself here. Just out of the pit lane here. Oh, Nick Pichet with a 3-second time penalty. That is the kind of penalty he got past Marco Bastin, by the way. And that's a penalty that's going to hurt him a lot, because he's definitely battling with the Mercedes. Look at this. Marco is all over Nick Pichet. He's not going to give up that position so easily. Keeping up closely behind him. There's a bit of a battle in the back of the pack. Suddenly, Marcel Paz finds himself maybe under attack by Ryan Newton, which, from the looks of it, he's going to go into the... Oh no, he's not in the pits, and I got a little bit distracted. yeah, Jack Fletcher seemed to have disconnected. Well, back in P4 for Bastien, expect those positions to be switched around between those two very regularly. Yeah, Jack Fletcher disconnected, so he's back down on the straight, giving feeding DRS to Quinton K, and Bechtel still leading this DRS train. Cam Bourne is maybe happy to have the DRS off of the Aston Martin driver, because now he's got drivers behind him as well with the DRS. He wants to make sure he minimizes the positions lost so far. He's only lost one position, I believe. I'm pretty sure he just started P7 and... Oh, actually, no, he started P11 and he's gained 4 positions. He's just been P7 since the beginning of the race, and suddenly it just didn't really go anywhere. It's very difficult. You could notice on the track map, unless you're doing a pit strategy, drivers who've had an incident on the first lap or a spin. I'm looking at Nathan Doan, I think Cal Blevins too. Yeah, they're just a little bit in no man's land. Duncan McCamick as well. You have to have a really, really strong pace to be able to catch up to this group. And so far, well, it's been the complete opposite. They're losing pace to this group of drivers because of the very powerful DRS main straight. So it's a bit unfortunate for them. A lot of traffic in the pits. You gotta keep an eye on that. All right, Marcel Paps going in for a fresh set of medium tires. Maybe a little bit early from the hards, actually. He's probably trying the undercut. He's going to go 14 laps on the medium tires, as was 11 laps for Quinton K when he pitted from him as mediums. So now Quinton is in front of Marcel, and Paps is going to have to work hard again to catch up to the Haas driver. Finds himself with the tire advantage so far. It might be something that he loses out towards the end of the race. So the top 8 actually have not pitted yet. Still a battle ongoing with Marco Bastet and Nick Pichet. Let's see if any one of them pulls the triggers and goes into the pits. Eric Cavallo in the race lead, has held his lead the entirety of the race. He's going into the pits, so he's probably going to try maybe the undercut strategy or to protect himself from the undercut, as goes Cam Bourne and Kaigo in the Aston Martin into the pits for the medium tires. Bechtel is going to keep on going on, as is the Mercedes drivers, Nick Pichet as well. So about half the grid-ish, or maybe 7 drivers have not completed their pit strategy yet. And that's really going to keep an eye on Cam Bourne and Kai Go, especially Cam. He finds himself in P9 as of now. How many drivers are going to be in front of him? He's at P12, so drops down multiple positions due to that pit strategy. Some drivers are still going on the long strategy. You know, suddenly you find Duncan McCamick within drivers ahead of him and behind him. So he's within the pack again. He's probably taking advantage of those tires being a little bit old. He's going to try to push him as long as possible. Maybe hope and pray for a safety car. Jack Fletcher seems to have disconnected, and he's totally ghosted. We don't see him whatsoever. Yeah, so that is done for him. Another lap being made for Ryan Newton, not in the pits. Same thing for Nick Pichet. So Marco Bastet and Brendan Bechtel, the next drivers, are going to the pits. Maxime Bollier as well. This time on the mediums, completely locks his tires. Oh, he locked those front tires, sliding into the pit lane. Luckily for him, no penalty there. Was not caught speeding in the pit lane. Into the pits for Duncan McCamick and Jack Fletcher as well. Let's see where Maxime is going to get back on track. He's going to be significantly behind that group of drivers. I'm not sure that pit strategy has worked out completely for him. Maybe had an incident that made him lose out. But look at that pack of drivers now. That is kind of wild. Look at his view. Cam Bourne almost stuck a nose there on the inside of that corner. Look at that. There's about 4 drivers battling here and very closely, all the way down to basically P14. P8 to P14 is just a huge cluster of drivers. Great racing from them. No incidents so far either. There hasn't been any contact or major contact between drivers aside from the beginning of the race where Freddie Rizal made contact with Cal Blevins. I think Nathan Doan hit him because he was sideways on the track, and that ended his race. Hudson Poole was having a disastrous race, didn't have good qualifying either, and he also retired from the race. Into the pits they go. It is Ryan Newton and Nick Pichet, and it's interesting how the undercut is so powerful here on this track, because we're looking at Quinton K being so far ahead of them now once again. And Nick Pichet is, well, not as close as we'd have expected. Maybe he had some traffic in front of him to handle beforehand. He's a little bit of a ways away from Marco Basset, not in the DRS either. Keep an eye on how Era's going on. Era's definitely looking like he's got way more pace so far in this race. Has been able to keep Quinton K away from him throughout the beginning of the first stint on the tires. Now it's a reverse situation, and clearly he's got the better pace compared to Quinton K. And I would say Marcel Paus is riding along, catching up to Quinton K. He should have the DRS on the Williams driver in this next corner. I'm thinking Era's going to make a move right away. It's very clear that the tire advantage is Era's. And down the straight he goes. Quinton didn't do too much to defend. A little bit of a taunt there with Era opening and closing his DRS swing repeatedly to Quinton. Thank you very much. Back on P1. Back on the lead of the race, Era goes. And there you go. The battle here going in the back. Was that ever so close? Cal Blevins P7, Bechtel P8, and Cam Bourne P9. These guys were all over each other going to turn 1, and it finds, again, some clean overtakes. Is Bechtel going to go ahead on the inside here of Blevins? Let's get on board with him. Wheel to wheel he goes on the inside here, the next couple corners. And what has happened here? Whoa. I'm not sure that was supposed to happen. Were we already at the very end of the race? No, we definitely were not. All right, well, I'll throw in a little intermission. Apparently, I'm being told the race is still going, so I guess I was the issue here. I think I got kicked out from this lobby, so we'll be right back after these short messages. Well, hey, we're back. The race has not ended as you've seen just a couple seconds ago. Most definitely. Disconnection issue between the host and I. Oh boy. Well, what have we missed in that short moment? It's done for Potato Skin. Oh, what's happened there? Just happened. Potato Skin, who's retired into turn 1 quite suddenly. It's a DNF. It's a retirement completely. No safety car. No virtual safety car. It doesn't seem to happen very often here. So that is it. I don't know if the driver had damage and decided to call it quits, or if it was just a connection issue. Needless to say, connection issue has been a bigger story this tonight in this stream than the actual race itself. When we've measuring the moment of problems, Marcel Paps has gained P2 from Quinton K. However, the time penalty, and I'm seeing Kaigo just joined the lobby again, so I think it's his AI that retired him. He's going to be disappointed finding his car not raceable anymore quite suddenly, and he was fighting for positions. It's going to be an issue that's going to have to be talked over later. So Marcel Paps, P2, but he's got that 3-second time penalty. 3-second time penalty as well for Ryan Newton. As of now, if the race would end, we'd find ourselves with Quinton in P2 and Pabst in... Well, Pabst would be P4. Ryan Newton would be also in the podium positions. He's battling there with Quinton K. Keep an eye on him here. There it is. Oh, and Quinton K, look at his fuel light. Is he in a lift and coast situation? Oh my. Let's make a rundown from from P1 all the way down. I'm not seeing anybody else with those lights. No, it's Quinton K. As of now, he is going in on the Ferrari. Is going to try to maybe make for the overtake. Ryan Newton is on the inside line. He goes, tries to brake a little bit later. Successfully does the overtake very closely to the Haas driver, who's got to give that position. Oh, we've got another driver who's lost it completely. This time it's Brendan Bechtel who's disconnected. Oh boy, the lobby connection I think is an issue for multiple drivers out there. And that would be 2 Aston Martins. That would be disappointing for Bechtel. Actually, Bechtel, we've seen that happen to him multiple times throughout the later races. Finds himself disconnected and most probably losing positions. I heard him a lot in last week in Monaco, if I remember correctly. Well, Carvalho is most definitely untouchable of this race. He's been in the lead. He's held the lead the entirety of the race. Nobody to battle him. Marcel Paps is trying to defend himself from Ryan Newton this time. Quinton K has got that light going. He's probably going to try to stay in the slipstream, maybe to save himself some fuel. He's got 6 laps to go, including this one. We're seeing Ryan Newton go on the inside of the Ferrari, and he makes it work. So it's P2 for the Mercedes driver who had started, I believe, in P6. Or was it P5, actually? Making the moves happen late in this race. Tino is the next driver to carry himself a 3-second time penalty. Well, driver I've not really spoken about so far this race, specifically. It's Magnussen Cube. Look at him go. Magnussen Cube started, well, dead last, P20. And crawled his way all the way up to P8. That would be a great result for the AlphaTauri if that was the end result. Obviously, maybe of a given position from Bechtel's disconnection, but finds himself up and maybe potentially trying to battle his way up to Camborne, maybe to fight for P7 for that extra couple points. Although he's under fire by Cal Blevins. Cal Blevins has fought his way back into P9. Obviously, he had a great qualifying. It's a track on which he's got a great pace on. Look at him, very aggressive on the battery already. Camborne ahead was trying all sorts of tactics to break that toe. It's made it. It's worked so far. Nobody's able to get past him. And behind, well, it's Simon Carlson also. And, oh, I'm getting kicked out again. Oh, no. Well, we're getting used to it, aren't we? Well, good thing I've got my adult beverage to keep my spirits calm. Yeah, no, we're not celebrating. Ain't none of that happening. Alright. We're back in loading. Shouldn't be too long of a wait. We'll be back on the stream. Alright. And we are back. What have we missed since then? Well, it's still Quentin K handling his fuel issues. He doesn't seem to be on the attack. I think he's forced to do some coasting a little bit. Ryan Newton has kept his second position. There's just about 3 laps to go. Lap 26 out of 29. We're about to start lap 27. Oh, and has Nick Pichet caught up to Bastin? He absolutely has. Look at him go. Well, that's going to be another position gain and another position lost for Bastin. In just a moment here, absolutely. Nick Pichet is going to have the DRS and the top speed to go on the inside line, outbrake his opponent. Oh, no. Well, what's going on now? Wow, it looked... that's a 3-second time penalty. Wow, okay, well, I don't know if it's what's going on with these drivers, if it is more issues towards connection or whatnot. It didn't look like Pichet had any brakes for a moment. Braked way late, caught himself going past turn 1, and a penalty. Same thing again for Marcel Paps. It's another 3-second time penalty. I gotta say, these D1 drivers are catching as many penalties as we would see in the Division 3. 9 seconds for Simon Carlson, 9 seconds for Brendan Bechtel, despite, you know, I don't know if he's found his connection again. I don't know if that's him or AI driving, unfortunately. It looks like it's him. Eric Vallo is smooth sailing to a win here. Ryan Newton, well, he's defended well because the 3-second time penalty that Paps just grabbed helps protect him from the P2 for the podium position. That would mean Quentin would be... Well, if he has enough gas to finish the race, he would be in a position to be on the podium as well. Nathan Doan, it's another horrendous race for him, unfortunately. P17 had a moment off track, about to get lapped by Carvalho, and is also given a 3-second time penalty. What is this surprise here? Maxime Bowler just has successfully overtaken under the DR Simon Costin. He's on soft tires, 11 lap old soft tires. He's definitely going to finish the race with those. Question is, I'm kind of surprised he has more penalties once again. Simon Costin, I think, what is that, 12 seconds? Yeah. Simon is collecting penalties like he's collecting stamps. It's a beautiful collection he's going to stick up on his wall eventually. Yeah, Bechtel's doing overtakes, driving very aggressively to try to gain those positions back. He lost so many due to that moment where he was completely disconnected. In the mid-pack here, look at this. Cam Bourne trying to defend himself from Cal Blevins. He's all over the McLaren driver, and right behind is Magnussen Cube. Aggressively weaves a little bit, or does a one move to try to break the toe. That's not going to be enough. However, he's got the inside line on Cal Blevins. Cal Blevins does the overtake for P7. Great work from him. A driver who's had an incident early in the race, having contact with Freddy Rizal. It's had practically ruined his race, yet he, through strategy, was able to get himself back in this race. Oh, what's happened with Quinton K here? Oh no. Is that what I think it is? Yeah, Quinton K is out of fuel. It's lap 29, out of 29, and we're seeing penalties being given to top drivers. Suddenly, Marc-Olivier gets a 3-second time penalty. Quinton K is out of fuel, and that will be a significant loss for him. He might not find himself even in the top 10, maybe. However, it's Eric Cavallo. He's going to go for the win. A clean race from him. Started in P1, finishes in P1. Nothing else to say. Ryan Newton P2, Marcel Passon P3. Marco Basset coming in across the line just now, as everybody across the track is grabbing penalties. That's P4 for him. P5 for Nick Pichet. And then behind, oh, was that so close? Well, due to penalties, that's Magnussen Cube, who on track here is a little bit behind, but because of the penalties, he's now P6, Camborne P7, Cal Blevins P8, P9 goes to Quentin K, who lost incredible amounts of track positions due to missing out on fuel. Very lucky to not have lost positions to Maxime Beaulieu and drivers behind him. Brendan Bechtel finds himself P15. Simon Costin, despite all those penalties, well, it's going to be P12 for him. Across the line next is Jack Fletcher. And then Nathan Doan. I gotta say, I'm gonna say it as it is. I think, and I don't know if this is just due to host connection. I think a lot of drivers may have been dealing with lag, a lot of disconnections. That was not a race where we expected to have. There's just nothing to happen this race. I'm gonna say it straight up. A bit of an incident early in the race with Freddie and Cal, and then, you know, Quinn running out of fuel, and that's about it. Well, let's get our top three in the booth with us. Here are the end results. Fastest lap goes to Ryan Newton, who will get the additional point as well. Stay tuned. In just a moment's time, we're going to have the interviews. All right, there they are. Let's not waste any more time. Let's bring him in. Marcel Paffs, it's a P3 finish for you. A great result here in Qatar. Walk us through your race. How did that race go?
Interesting. The pace was really good. Especially me and Ryan were flying out there, and I I would say this is a lucky P3 because of Quinton, but yeah, pace was good. Unlucky penalties, but yeah, still a P3.
Yeah, nothing going on much in this race. You know, no safety car, nothing to really make you think. It looked like a kind of race where you just got in the zone and did what you had to do. You had a great qualifying result. Was it maybe a challenge to stay focused throughout the entirety of the race, or because you were always following somebody that helped you remain focused?
Yeah, focusing is a good point to be honest, because I got a league race like 7 hours before this one, and I was kind of tired already. And doing this race too is kind of tiring, but yeah, I just was in my zone and tried to take it home.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, Marcel, I believe this result would put you in maybe P5, given you'd be lapping, getting past Hudson Pool and Nick Pichet actually. So P5 in the championship, with 3 races to go. It is going to be quite an interesting end to the race. What are your expectations for yourself as a driver till the end of this season?
To stay in the top 5, obviously, and I've seen that we have outscored Red Bull and Alpine, which I had in the combined constructors, P3 and P4. So we're getting closer to that, and yeah, I hope D2 goes the same way as D1.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there with China, the United States, well, in the Circuit of Americas, and Mexico being the 3 next races? Is there a race you prefer out of those ones, or you take them all equal?
I prefer the last race in Mexico because I have kinda some pace there with a new setup. China could be fine, but Texas could be tiring, to be honest. But
With
we'll
a
see.
sprint race, by the way, so it's a 50% a short quali, but also a sprint race in between those two.
Oh, true, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's gonna be mad.
It's gonna be an interesting race, but it'll be China first next week. Marcel, thanks for doing this. Congratulations on P3 once again.
Thank you very much, and thank you for casting.
Yeah, thank you. Well, he's starting to get used to being on the podium positions, and he climbed his way back up from a P5 here into P2. Ryan Newton, a great race on your part, bit of an uneventful. Walk us through your race. How did that go?
Uh, the, I mean, the pace was very solid, but in the end, it's just the gaps were just too big. Quentin doing the medium, it's a hard, stupid idea. Because he kind of threw away our base too, because we when Era got past him, he still sat in front of Eruption. Eruption just got stuck behind him because you can't pass anywhere else but the straight. And yeah, by then Era already had the gap, and I knew it was done from there. I knew a lot of people struggled on fuel. Personally, I didn't. It was just hit the fuel in, honestly. But yeah, also it's just impossible to regen battery. It's like just you can if you even if you sit behind somebody, it's almost impossible. This is regen. This is literally nothing here. It's just
Yeah, not a lot of battery being regenerated. Not a lot of overtaking opportunities, like except for turn one mainly. So
yeah.
very difficult
It's
to
just
overtake. Next race is going to be in China next week, which when you look at the layout, you don't think there's maybe that many overtaking opportunities. But let me tell you, there will be. How are
oh
you viewing
China.
China for next
China's
week?
great for racing.
Yeah.
Don't know why zeros have waited for this long. Screw you, Duncan.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Finally, racing in China, absolutely. It's gonna be a great race. How are you viewing your the rest of the season? Because right now, I forgot to say, the biggest rival you have is your own teammate. We kind of touched on that subject last week, after Monaco. 3 races to go. Marco finished in P4. You had P2. You're still very close in races. Is Mercedes approaching this in generally in like no team orders, or how is that going?
yeah, we don't have team orders. We're just, I think the main goal is to finish 1-2 in the championship, not let anybody else. I think we will wrap up this constructors pretty easily. I don't think we have any threat there. But yeah, I definitely want to win the championship, but I think, I mean, I'm not sure. I don't think we have constructors wrapped up yet, but I think we're getting close to it.
Statistically, no, but very, very close. Maybe by the end of by the end of this result, it
Yeah, I
can
mean,
be. But yeah,
I think with having China next, I think we'll probably close it out because I mean, control is OP on China, so I
yeah.
think,
However, for the drivers constructors, you're probably gonna. It's only gonna be rewarded not round 10 in Mexico. So, unless it's a complete disaster for either Marco or Era, but the gap between you and your teammate was 24 points at the end of this race. So. It's not that much larger so far.
yeah,
So yeah, we'll see how that goes throughout the next 3 races. But definitely, the storyline here
yeah,
in Division One so far. Ryan, congratulations on P2, and
yeah,
if you keep up the pace, we'll obviously see you in the next few weeks.
yeah. Hope to see you too. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, Era, what I gotta say, it's a P1 finish. You started pole, you stayed in front the entirety of the race, except for a little bit where you had your pit strategy going. The pace was incredible. The tire management was incredible. Nobody could touch you. Well, first of all, congratulations. Second of all, walk us through a race. How do you do that?
Thank you, John. Good evening, everybody. Oof. Yeah, was a perfect race. Perfect race. Like I said, I am grinder's nightmare. Random GPs, people don't grind, can't grind, and it's just good to me because I just make 1 hour practice and I'm okay. I'm ready. I just check the field, the setup, and everything. If everything's alright, then I'm good to race. I think Quinton played a major role in this race because when he lost the DRS to me, I just pushed it like hell and made a good gap to him and the guys behind. So when he stopped, I was aiming on Eruption. When he stopped, I was going to stop 1 lap later and try to rejoin in front of him. That's what happened, so it worked. Pace was incredible. By the end of the race, I was losing ground to Ryan. If there was 1 or 2 more laps, he would catch me because when I had a high wear, my car was so slippery. I was sliding almost every corner, so it was very hard to keep the car on the track on the end of the first stint and the end of the second stint. But overall, I tried to don't oversteer too much, so I could keep my tires in a good temperature and don't waste it too much. I mean, being fast, but don't being painful to the tires. But again, like I said, I think Quinton played a major role. Um, I need to thank him for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And you and Quentin tend to have a kind of special bond on track, whether it's on Monaco or whenever Quentin is racing. He's got a very similar pace to you, and you guys find yourselves on track regularly. With the random GP done now, we've got 3 races left in this season era. It is China, it is Codas, and Mexico. I've asked the other drivers this: is there a track to which you're looking forward to more than others?
Yeah, it's like I said, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. I'll try my best on the last races to catch Ryan on the championship, but yeah, it's going to be very hard. He's doing nice on every track, so everybody have issues, but Ryan is always there. So I think he is going to be very hard to catch him on the championship. But I'm done yet. I'm not done yet. Like I said, I'll try my best.
Absolutely. All right. Well, congratulations again for that win here in Qatar. We'll see you next week in China.
Yeah. Thank you, John. You have a good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Thank you. You too, Era.
See you in China.
Well, those are the comments of our top 3. Marcel Paps P3, Ryan Newton P2, and Eric Cavallo, our race winner, is actually his first win this season. Had P3 and P2 finishes earlier this season, but that is his first win officially this season. And yeah, he may have actually just, yeah, with that win and Marco, he's either tied. I don't have the points ahead of me, but either tied or just passed Marco Olivier for P2 in the championship standings. So his next target is obviously catching up to Ryan Newton. So we'll see how that goes. It was an interesting race to say the least here in Qatar. Next week in China, not the most popular track in F1. Obviously, not having races in China in the past couple of years because of COVID-19 for a while, but it is a track where, at least here in league races, it is very, very fun. Fun races to have multiple opportunities for overtaking down in turn 1 after the long back straight, going into the hairpin as well. So there's a bunch of places. And well, drivers know this, and they'll definitely be practicing as the season is getting closer and closer towards its end. The top drivers want to get the best position as they can, so they're going to be fighting it all out in China. And it is a proper race that we're going to have there next week. So next week, Division 1 will be back next Sunday for the Grand Prix in China, 8 Eastern. Tomorrow, stay tuned for tomorrow's race. It'll be another random GP. It is not determined yet which track it's going to be for our Division 2 tomorrow, 8 p.m. Monday Eastern. It'll be a great race over there as well. So on that note, I will say goodnight, everybody, and we will see you very soon back here in ZRL. Good night.